Hello guys, the coin here once again. I decided to hop in again because there was a major move. There was another one of these zigzags, which from what I have been understanding lately, these kinds of patterns, so it's forming kind of a wick here, and then it flash crashes and then it recovers a little bit. We have seen that in the past. And once again, this red line here, it is very important for Bitcoin to stay above significantly from this red line here. And once again, it fall below. It found major resistance up here. So now we have to try to find out and understand what is going to happen next. It has been able to keep its neck out of the water, and because another breach to the downside, like we saw when we dumped to 9,238, you know, if Bitcoin fails to stay significantly above this trend line here, it continues to look very bearish here. So because since it dropped from this was basically the major drop that we have lately. Or did we have another one? No, we went below. We went to 8,000. Yeah, this was actually the first one. So we came up, we found resistance in here, which we can still see, I guess. So Bitcoin is failing to go above the 9,599. And once again, with these kinds of flash crashes that have been happening lately, you know, take a look at what happened here. This was a big one. This is not a very big one. What happened next? It recovered a little bit and then dumped. Then we had another one in here. So we had a wake up, a flash crash. We went kind of half of the way up. Once again, maybe it will try to do the same thing right now. And then it started to dump. So like I said, guys, Bitcoin has to be able to stay above this trend line significantly. If it fails, and it seems that it already failed once, twice, if this should be the third time, yeah, we could see here some real dumping going on. The stock market is not doing much. What I found yesterday is that Bitcoin was doing a little bit of independent move to the upside from the stock market. That's what I found, because the stock market was actually going lower after the lows that settled into Bitcoin. And so, but yeah, the futures market, the Dow Jones market went a lot lower, and Bitcoin didn't go to these lows. So let's check out what's going on on the futures market, the YMA. So it looks like the futures market is finding resistance in here at around 26,086. It didn't drop much, but BTC must have found another big resistance up there. So that's why it kind of had the flash crash. And once again, if we start to see the kind of same patterns that have been developing and that I have been finding out, there was a small one in here. This is actually a bigger one compared to this one. Not much of a happening, so it went down, it dumped a little bit. The last time we saw was in here, was this one. And after that it recovered a little bit, and then it just went down. So we have to see if BTC will try to recover. Will try to recover at this level. It's actually kind of interesting that this move actually happens here in in a Fib circle. So in a Fib circle it happened. It kind of happened here the same thing. Although I've drawn this Fib line well about half an hour ago, so it's actually respecting it. This one I draw this Fib channel here just or the Fib circle after the fact, but it kind of went in a way where the resistance was. So when Bitcoin started to drop, it bounced at 92.32. It could have gone as low as 92.06. So these Fib circles are actually quite accurate. So like I said, there's nothing major going on. I was just checking the German stocks exchange as well, the DAX, which actually opened. They went a little bit down, and they're still down from the high that we had at 952. It's now 1113. So it dropped from the highs. Like I say, I don't see any big movements going on in the futures market. All I know is that this is resistance here on that Fib circle as well. I also noticed that there was. Oh, I'm just watching. I'm just screening the Bitcoin ticker here. So yeah, I wanted to come back, but I left the screen here. So there was a big spike in volume in here. So it went into resistance. It went into resistance at 94.82. It had a kind of a flash crash after that, and I was actually expecting that when I saw that. So that would be a perfect shorting opportunity. Maybe at 70, 80, 100x, you could have made about 50 to 60%, I guess. So let's continue to see. Let me go back to the other charts so that we can understand what is happening, because I was talking about it but I didn't put on the screen. So futures market is actually starting to drop a little bit. Like I said, it's finally resisting on that Fib circle here. It had a wick as well. It had a wick to 26,149, and it's actually starting to go down. I was actually watching the DAX as well, like I said, German stocks exchange, to see if there is any significant movement going on. So the stock market in Germany opened at 8 a.m. It found a high at 937, so now we're near the lows. And that trend line that I was talking about, that Bitcoin needs to keep, it's this one. So Bitcoin needs to stay above this trend line here, if and significantly above this trend line, if Bitcoin really wants to have a chance to move to the upside and maybe make higher highs. But we're seeing a pattern here that since the dump to around 92 or at around 89, it has failed to do so. It came back a bit, like you can see in here. So it dropped from the trend line, went below, found perfect resistance, maybe on this circle as well. It started to go up, kind of was following uh, a broadening sloping wedge. You know, it's spreading apart. So I guess this was part of the movement. It actually went up significantly, and these zigzags that I was talking about, there are a couple of them in here. I can show you them. This was one significant one. This was the last one. So it found support here. It had a flash crash. It came always to the highs again, and then it slowly started to dump. Then we had another one here. Oh no, this was the inverse. So it had a flash crash. It went up, and then it started to go down. Let me see if there is another one in here. I believe there was another one. No, I can't see one right at this moment. I don't believe this was part of it, or maybe it was. Although it didn't went, yeah, it went up. It found resistance here in this ring, and then started to dump here as well. So, but this one is not clear. The others are very clear to see. So this was one without no doubt. On the inverse, this was the other one that actually succeeded. That looks like this one right now. Oh, but I'm on the 5 minute on the 5 minute chart. It's harder to spot. On the 1 minute, it's quite clear. So on the 1 minute, you can actually clearly see it, like in here. See here, we had another one here, and then the other one, and then the other one. I guess there's still R2 left, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yep, here is the big one. You can actually see it. It was already starting to go up, went down, the flash, another flash, the wick to the upside, and then the flash down. And I believe there was another little one in here. No, not really. This one is part of another movement. So like I said, guys, you know, these patterns are actually showing up a lot. Generally, when it happens, it shows potential to the downside, at least from what I have been experienced. This really was a major one. Pak tried to recover, and then it started to go lower. So from what I understand, these are actually a little bit of bearish patterns, because once again it finds resistance up here. It is a violent rejection, and then it goes down. It had kind of the same thing in here. Not as much of a violent rejection here, but it was a little bit. Went down. Once again, it tested this trend line here. So, like I said, if Bitcoin wants to have a chance to go to the bull market, it has to stay above this trend line significantly. If it fails, and we've seen it's basically finding support and resistance in here, and yeah, these, like I said, guys, I'm not seeing anything bullish about this chart. You know, I wish I could tell you something different, but I just have to base myself on the charts and what they're saying. If we were clearly above, and we still have to take down this high in here. If Bitcoin fails to go to at least 95.60, man, it's not going to happen. Like I said, there was another violent rejection here at 94.78. So yeah, like I said, guys, there's absolutely nothing about these charts that tell me remotely that there is something bullish about this, you know. Because these trend lines are here for a reason, and generally when they break, just like stock market did before the last crash. It started to leave this trend line, and once again, this was a trend line. It's as well in a wedge, in a rising wedge pattern. So it went down, it went up again, just kind of like what we're seeing here. It was support, it became resistance, it stayed a little bit over it, found found support, it broke down to the downside, tried, never came back to the trend line, and yeah, that is basically what it is signaling. Because if Bitcoin continues to stay below this trend line here, it's trying to get back again, you know, there will come a point where the rejection, will continue, and eventually it has to break down to the downside once again, like it did the last time it went to around $89,000. So this is what I'm seeing. These are the charts. It's not that I'm, to be honest, I'm a little bit biased on the bearish side, because once again, the stock market is showing all the weaknesses that it showed before it wanted to dump. So yeah, so we have been seeing this dance here for a while. So found major resistance here, and it dumped heavily. Found a little bit of a once again kind of a violent rejection here. That's why it dumped so hard in here, but it found support around this level. So we have to continue to evaluate the situation. So that's it for now. If I have anything else to tell you, because it makes no point for me to continue to be live and to map this out and to see if it dumps or pumps or whatever. I'm not going through that, because people can do that at home as well on TradingView or the other technical indicator for cryptos as well. So that's it for me from now. If I have something to update you on, I will hop on again, and I will try to see what's going on in the market, because everybody believes that they're predictors. I'm no predictor. I'm still learning technical analysis. It's not an easy thing. Where I actually suck is entry points and exit points. I always entry too early, but because I have no patience, because I don't want to wait for the signal, for this kind of a signal here, a rejection to the upside or a rejection to the downside. That's generally when you want to get in, especially if you leverage trading 50 to 100x. You want to wait for these moves, because these moves always bring high rewards. If you jump the gun too early, in this week here, there's no money to be made, because the fees of the exchanges, they will crush you. You won't make money. Maybe in this year you can make a little bit, but not much. But yeah, these are the wicks, and these are the movements that you are looking for leverage trading, short-term leverage trading, 5, 10, 15 minutes. And this was actually another one. So if I was been trading, and I was just looking at this, and I saw, yeah, that would be a perfect opportunity to short the market here. So of course I wouldn't be able to get out at this level, but if I would get out from this candle here, it would be already good enough. So the market tells you when to get in, to get out. The only thing is, if you're on and you see it, yeah, great. But if you're doing trades outside of these kind of wicks, because these are the best trading patterns you can actually do. If you catch them, good for you. If you're anticipating the market, forget it, because it will be a lot harder. But yeah, from once in a while it shows you. So that's why I'm not very bullish about this pattern as well, because this was a major one as well. So you could actually trade this for about 2 or 3 minutes and make a decent amount of money. but like I can see, there is a kind of a bearish pattern like it's going on in here, you know. If you continue the position open, of course there's a little bit of pain when you see this rising here, but the rejection was so big that you actually are quite confident to put a stop loss up in here. And yeah, if you have done that, if you had waited for this first dump, it would be great. That would be, I guess that would be enough of a dump, not waiting for this other dump in here. But yeah, you never can anticipate the market, but when you start to realize and understanding patterns like that, and how generally bearish they are, then yeah, it's actually a good way to get in. Like I said, this is another one. It actually did the kind of thing that it did in here. Almost went up straight all the way to this candle. Kind of did the same in here, and then it started to dump. So patience is what it needs to be done when you start to see a wicks, and a wick like that. Yeah, it's not easy to catch these wicks because the movements are actually quite fast. Even in, so yeah, we're still talking about on the 5 minute. So in the 1 minute, I can actually tell you how much of a reaction you have to buy. So let me check this wick in here. So in here, after that top in here, you had about another minute or another 2 minutes, to make a short here. That's how short of a time frame you had to make a short here, because on the 3rd minute it was already down here. And this one, well, in this one you actually had 1, 2, 3, and this was the 4th minute, the high. So you had actually 3 minutes to get in this trade. Even if you used 100x and you would have opened in here or in here, you wouldn't be liquidated to get in here. So like I said, it's just a question of catching these movements, because the bottom line is, although it found support here and bounced back, this is not a short you want to make, because the movement is not good enough, and once again, because of the fees that you're dealing with the exchanges, you're not going to make any money, but you would do money, you would make money if you open up in here, because it's really hard to catch the tops, really hard, because I was seeing it going up, and it's always better to wait in the 2nd minute to see that red candle. So if I would be trading this, I would open this position right here or around here. So, but that's just something I wanted to share, for people, like I said, and for trading these patterns. But if you wait for these moves, if you wait for the wicks, and I know there are a lot of people wick traders, and they're highly profitable, because if you have the patience to wait for them and you are ready, then yeah, you open the position, man. You're just waiting for the dump, or waiting for a kind of a wick like that. Even this movement would be good enough, you would be, like I said, if you could make about, I don't know, perhaps 50 to 60% in this move here, I guess you could have made around 100% with 100x. So that's basically what I'm talking about. This is not financial advice. I don't advise you to do that, but there's always opportunities in this market. So today, this is actually the first real one, because like I said, there's no money to be made here. Even if you saw this and you would have traded this, this would be the low. You would never make money on this because of the fees. You could have made money on this one, if you bought here, if you sold here, yeah, you made money. You could have made, I don't know, maybe between 10 and 50 to 20%, I guess. So starting to see it recovering again, so we have to see if the price is going to do like it did in the past, maybe trying to get as high as it was the last time before it may dump. I guess I can still I can stay a little bit longer. Now I'm actually curious to what is actually going to happen with, once again, this pattern. From what I understand of watching this pattern, this is actually a bearish one, but like I said, we have to wait and see on what's going on. Now I can't find them. Yeah. Now I can't find the pattern that I was looking for. Incredible. The flash crash that I just saw a couple of times ago, and I just can't see it. Yeah, this was one, yeah. But there was another one, and now I can't find it. Incredible. So let's watch it. Let's watch this little move to see what happens if it breaks. If it goes higher than 94.79, but like I said, like it was kind of a violent rejection. I wouldn't expect it, but anything is possible, Anything is still possible. So we're going to watch it a little bit more, maybe around an hour, 5 or 10 minutes, to see if something is happening. Maybe I have to go to the 5-minute after all. Sometimes you can't see the patterns clearly on the 1 minute. Sometimes you can't see the patterns clearly. Yeah, on the 5 minutes it's actually better to see this one here. That's the one that I was looking for, but I couldn't find it on the 1 minute. So let's see, it was at 9:30, 9:05, 8:15. Let's see if I can find it now. Is it, man? Incredible, man. I can find it. $8.15. On the 11th. No, on the 10th. That's not the one that I was looking for. Yeah, this was So let's see, what was it once again? What time frame was this? At 10th, 1945. The 10th, 1945. Oh, the 10th. Oh, it's way back then. The 10th. Well, the 10th. It's way back. 10th, 1945, 14th, man, this sucks. The 10th, I guess, yeah, this was a move here, I guess, or no. Yep, this was the move, yep. Exactly, this here was the move. Wick to the upside, went a little bit below, then it tried again, then it flash crashed, tried to go to the same level or above, it failed, and then it started to drop. So let's see if we're kind of in a pattern like that, because what I'm starting to understand is that these patterns actually like to repeat themselves, especially lately, because once again, when you see these patterns, it's because there is a rejection. That's why they happen. There is a rejection going on because it also always jumps to the upside. So let's just stay here a little bit longer to see what's going on with this. Yeah, but it's like I said, guys, Bitcoin, in order to go bullish, first it has to take this high here. This high needs to be taken. And like we said, like we see in here, big wick, big red wick here going on. Must have been kind of a shooting star for sure. I can't see it very clearly. Maybe it was. So this was a huge rejection. Start to see the dump right away. So it started to go lower, and then it started to go these kinds of waves, these H patterns. Then this H turned into an M. Bottomed out in here. Went a little bit higher. Was a rejection here, a violent rejection. Found support here. That the support was actually bigger enough. Was harder enough than this resistance here. That's why it broke through. Then it continued to consolidate until it found the top here and dropped once again. Found support here near the red trend line. Found support here again, and we have been kind of sideways ever since. So not clearly wanting to go higher, and we start to understand why. Because they tried here, there was a rejection here, so we're going for the second round, and if it doesn't get through there, then maybe we may start to see a little bit of a dump in here. It doesn't have to be very significant, because once again, now if it wants to go lower, it has to take out the support here. Yeah, but let's keep here a couple of minutes more, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, to see if we can find out to what this little pattern here shows us, But like I said, from what I'm understanding, it's kind of a bearish one. So wicks out, has a flash crash, recovers a little bit. In this case, it wasn't quite obvious because it started to drop right away. But in the one that I was showing back then we saw it wicked out, continued, tried to go to the same level, it couldn't, and then it started to dump. So that's what I want to see what is happening. That's why we're staying a little bit on. And that's always great, man, because when you start to see patterns repeating itself, you have to pay attention to them, because, like I said, it's a good trading opportunity. You'll never know. That's why you have to. It's not that I'm watching these charts all the time. I'm doing other stuff as well, looking into YouTube and making some research on other stuff. But you always take a look at the chart, from 5 to 5 minutes, or sometimes when you see a move, you stick a little bit to it, and then you just go on. But yeah, best way to learn, technical analysis is to watch these charts, man. To watch these charts, take different indicators going on. Lately, I haven't even been taking a look at this one, but we're starting to see that, there was a dump in volume in here, although the price was going sideways. Here it dropped the price went lower a lot higher. Now there's kind of a bearish divergence going on, which I think is already played out. It was from this top here, from here. I believe this already happened. Like this one, it only tells you later. But yeah, bearish. When he identifies the bearish divergence, it already happened. It's more accurate on higher time frames, I guess. But so let's see, where did it find it first? So it was talking about a bearish divergence in here, which never happened, or may have happened in this dip here. That might have been where the bearish divergence happened. And then it found out in here, although when it started to find out, it already had bottomed out. Then we had a bullish divergence here that missed this low here completely. So the OBV is actually perfect, to understand, if the OBV starts rising very quickly, that's a very good opportunity to buy, because it means there is a lot of buying pressure going on into the market. And generally, when the OBV goes parabolic to the upside, a pump is incoming. That happens a lot, and you can also catch them as well, because if you were paying attention in here, and this dropped to around 89.04. So basically you start to see the top out in here. It went a little bit higher, and then you started to see the OBV increasing. Then yeah, that's where you know that there's a pump going on. Not always easy to find. There are some others more obvious than others. It also depends if you're watching the market or not. That's imperative. If you're not watching the market, you're not going to catch it anyway. So we have the MACD. Like we can see, the RSI was oversold. But what I'm also starting to understand about the indicators here, it didn't drop because the RSI was oversold. Because I've seen a lot of variations when there's a big pump going on, when there's big buying volume in here. The RSI can stay overbought, for long periods of time. So in the end, it doesn't really matter. Although it's telling you that's overbought, but in the end, if the pump is good enough and if the volume is good enough, it can stay oversold for about 5 minutes. And in about these 5 minutes, it could have had a pump of maybe perhaps $300 to $400 to $500 to $1,000. So it only tells you where a possible top is, because it kind of sometimes it respects it, like we can see in here. So it found out it was overbought. It dropped. This was the oversold area, but still it was oversold. The oversold area, it still went a little bit up, and then it continued to dump, and it actually dumped lower when than the indicator here. It continued to be oversold. But yeah, these can find you higher points. It's not always accurate because, like I said, it also always depends on the volume that is actually going on here. So the stochastic is actually a good indicator to start. When a pump may actually be about to start. But it was a small movement. Small movement went down again. The price, although the stochastic went down, the price barely moved to the downside. It had another boost to the upside, and then it bottomed out here, and then it started to go up, and there was a pump. So technical indicators, they help you, but they can only bring you so far, because like I said, the buying and the selling pressure, only the OBV can tell you that, without the divergences, because I'm not even talking about the divergences here. I'm just telling you the indicator itself. And I can just remove it in here. Can I? Of course I can. I have to click on it. So let's take out the bullish and the bearish divergences here. And it just shows you the indicator simply. But like we can see in here, the OBV started to go up, so it was already going up before the pump actually started. So when we saw this little bump in here, so it's, although the price actually went down, it stayed the same, because the OBV also tells you that the volume might not be coming from this exchange. It might be coming from another exchange, like kind of Bybit, because they're derivatives market, just like BitMEX. And so let me just check Bybit in here. If there is discrepancy, yeah, there is discrepancy in the OBV. So we can actually see that maybe much of the volume came from this exchange instead of the Coinbase one. So we start to see here, in this case, we never saw the pump, so this was a flash. Nobody was prepared to get into this trade, nobody. But after you see the wick, yeah, after you see the wick, then you are prepared to get into the trade and make a short one. So like right now, you know, it dumped out, it still continues to go higher, so there is a little bit of volume coming in at buying pressure, because the difference is buying pressure brings it up, selling pressure brings it down. So that's basically what it's telling us. But yeah, the OBV works very well from time to time when there's basically no volume or selling pressure going on, and then slowly and then increasingly starting to go up, and you don't see the price moving at all. That's when you need to get in, when the OBV is going parabolic to the upside, because this was a flash. Because when it starts to do this very very high, and the price is barely moving, that's where you need to strike, because a pump is incoming. It doesn't happen all the time. That's why you have to be in at the right time. You know, this timing is always imperative in these cases. So since recently I started to use the alligator indicator, you know. It's not good for trading on the 1 minute. I'm not trading it at all. I'm just documenting it. I'm just you know, watching it, how it does in certain areas. Let's go where there is less noise, which is on the FTX. The alligator indicator. So basically, what you need to understand about this alligator indicator, the green one is where you need to be watching, because it could give you a hint if you were not looking at the wick. So the alligator indicator started to go bearish when it crossed the purple and the blue line. The green one generally indicates where the price may be going, and that's why, once again, I'm bearish about this, because of this alligator indicator here. And let's just remove this noise here again. See this in here on the 1 day? So it's already touching it for the second time, because once this green line that has to do with averages, once this green line goes through the blue line, then yeah, that's when Bitcoin price may start to dump. Because if we take a look at the indicator itself on what happened in the last dump, just check it out. We have actually two other places. Take a look at here. Look what happened when the alligator dropped below the other indicators. Drop. Then the other indicators went first, and then the green one, yeah, showed a bullish movement in here. Then it started to drop again. When it starts to lead, you want to follow. And then it happened right in here before the last crash. Before the last crash at 95.40. So if people were actually taking a look at this indicator and start to short at 95.40, yeah. And that's basically why I'm using this indicator to see when the dump may be possibly happening. It hasn't been signaled yet. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is still very far away from that as well. Take a look on the daily. Oh man, still has to do a lot of data. Still has to go about 5 to 10 days to understand where the market is still going. Like I said, I believe the market is already topped out. That's why when you can't find the answer on these indicators, you try these trend lines here. These trend lines are important to understand where the trend is actually going. And this is the trend that you need to be making right now. This is the trend. You could have actually made it yeah, and here the trend here is still not telling you much. You could have made another one. You can make a lot of trends. To start, you can also have made this trend as well here. So could have made this trend. You know, you always have to respect the lines in here. So if you would have made this trend, yeah, you started, you know, once again it started to drop. It dropped. Now it's coming back to this trend line, finding resistance here. And yeah, once the Dow Jones leaves this trend line to the downside, and if the alligator gives you an indicator for that, that might be the dump. That's why I draw that trend line on the BTC chart as well, so that I can take a look at more indicators, because they will give you confirmation. As more indicators you have telling you the same thing, you know, better confirmation, so you can make a better judgment for you to make a decision on the market if you want to buy or to sell. So like I said, once again, after this flash pump and dump, it went once again above that trend line that I'm talking about. But yeah, it went to this high in here. Now it's basically consolidating, so not much is going on right now. But like we saw on the other pattern, when it developed, it actually took a little bit of time as well. It didn't happen right away, so it may take a bit of time to see what happens. It might happen instantly, like kind of what happened in here, or it goes down, it goes up, it tries to go above the latest low, it fails, and then it starts to dump. So, but we will have to see. But yeah, not really much going on right now. Let me check out the futures market, because it's always important to have the futures market in mind. Like we can see here, there's also a little bit of a recovery. The flash crash wasn't that clear compared to BTC, but there's a recovery going on in here. Once again, in this case here, the Dow Jones has to get above this fib circle here. That's basically acting as resistance right now. So that is going on. Let me just check what is also going on into the DAX, the German market, the German index. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of indecision going to the downside. So that's what's up. So for now, I don't have much anything else to say. We just have to wait and see how this is going to play out. Maybe in the next 15 to an hour or two. I don't know. Might take a while. Might not. Depends. Yeah, this would actually be a good pattern to trade as well. You know, kind of a shooting star in here. So it went down, it tried a little bit up, and then it started to dump. Yeah, you could actually, if anyone saw this and actually got into this market, you could have made, I don't know, perhaps what, 9,467 to 9,411. Maybe you could have made about between 10 and 15%, I guess. This move here, from this low to high, this isn't a no trading zone, because once again, there's no money to be made. Because when you're opening a position in the leverage exchange, you have to discount 10% to the exchanging fees alone. You have to be ready for that. 10% of that movement to the upside is going to the fees on the exchange. So, but when you see, like I said, when you see higher wicks, you know, although this was kind of a bust one. It was a big wick, but then it really didn't do anything. So if you would have tried to trade this, you wouldn't made any money on it, even if you closed in here. There isn't much money. Well, in a $22 move, yeah, I don't think it would got you above 10%. So there wouldn't be no money to be made here. In this case, there would be money to be made right now if you would have longed. Well, it's hard to long from this position here, but maybe from here, the second minute, you start to see the green candle, or you get in here or in here. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit money to be made in here, but yeah, nothing really exciting going on. It looks like it's maybe we stay a little bit longer. It looks like there's a little bit of movement. But yeah, let's go here to the Bitcoin ticker to see what's going on. The Bitcoin ticker. The only reason for me to use it is because I can see the real volume in US dollars, you know, because it has Bitstamp, it has Coinbase, Bitfinex, Gemini, and then it has it must be an exchange, an European exchange, QR. Then it has Bitfinex, BCH, and Bitfinex Ethereum as well. So, like we can see here, so this pump is actually going on with virtually no volume whatsoever. There was a true volume in here, but there isn't much of any volume actually going on in here. Maybe it's coming from Binance, but we can check that as well. Let's try to find out where this volume is actually coming from, because you know, when I start to see pumps with no volume, man, you know, I don't trust it, because it doesn't make any sense. Because why the hell is the price actually going up, and sometimes significantly, if there is no volume to back it up, you know? And I always get weary with those situations. This was a genuine move because there was volume behind it. This one, well, like I said, we see a little bit of volume from Binance, but you know, not very much of buying pressure in here. So like I said, let me check once again what's going on. What's going on with the futures? Well, the futures is not doing much of anything, but yeah, starting to see this pump here without, once again, without not much of volume. I can't find any volume in here. Let's go to BTC, to the Coinbase chart. Well, there is a little tiny bit of volume coming from Coinbase as well, but like I said, nothing major, nothing that could move the market like it moved in here, you know. So I'm always a little bit weary, suspect of these moves. So let's continue to watch it, so that we may have a little bit of a better picture in here. Maybe it's just bots trading with low volume. But let's see. Let's just keep watching for a little bit longer. Yeah, I just left the stream stuck at the this one. I have to put it in here to give it permission. So yeah, this is the other chart of the other guy that makes these flip channels. This is Steve from Optical Arts. He was the guy that came up with the FIB channels. I actually like to follow his stuff as well. I like to use as much indicators, as much stuff that I can, you know, to try to understand where the market is going. So I draw my own stuff, and I compare it to other people's stuff, because you know, you need to have as much indicators as you can possibly have to trying to make an accurate kind of prediction, because I don't like prediction, but you know, prediction is because nobody can predict the market. You know, it doesn't matter how many indicators you have. It doesn't matter how much experience you has. Nobody has the little magic ball. You can make an educated estimation. You can try to make the best out of probabilities or possibilities. Probabilities comes more into place than predictions, because predictions, you know, nobody can make predictions, because, like I said, if a whale right now decides to dump 50,000 Bitcoin right now into the market, oh yeah, there will be a big dump. So technical indicators, everything that you can follow, they can never prepare you for someone to manipulate the market in a brief time, you know. Like if a fund manager, if anybody would actually buy, well, they generally do it on the OTC. If somebody actually wanted to buy I don't know, 100 million worth of Bitcoin in the normal exchanges, the price would pump like hell. But since they buy OTC, so that they don't move the markets as much, you know, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. I'll be right back. I'm just going for a smoke. So yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of a dump going on. I don't know if this is the fulfillment that happened before. Maybe we're starting to dump a little bit right now, but we still don't know the direction. It's basically going a little bit sideways right now in an uptrend. So that's it for me from now. If I have any updates, I'll come back and I'll just tell you about it. I'm the Coin, and I'm out.